Hi everybody, we're Gorguina, we're a Catalan black metal duo. I am Varg the Mighty, I play guitars and drums on the album. I'm also the main singer. And she is Hekate Chthonia. She is the keyboardist and bassist, and she is also done some vocals on the intro. So, we just debuted, we recently got our album out, and it's inspired mainly by Hades Almighty, Carpathian Forest, Rotten Christ, the Omega, Emgla, Inquisition. It's a mix of many classical and not so classical black metal bands combined into something new. Okay, so you may be wondering, what on earth does Gorguina mean? It's a pretty odd word. Well, it comes from the medieval-based word Sorginak, and it's sort of something present in the Basque mythology, and it's a word mainly used for witches, although it's also used for fairies and the like. And it got translated into Catalan, into Gorguina, but it's a medieval Catalan, so if you search it up on a dictionary, you won't really find it. And in Catalan, it only means witch, and it's pretty present in our Catalan landscape. For instance, you've got a town that's called by Gorguina, that would be basically the Valley of the Witches. And that town really inspired our band's name, because it's very mystical and we find it really black metal, this concept of a Valley of Witches. As I said before, we recently released our debut, titled of Shrouds and Daggers. On this release, we tried to mix a sort of classical kind of black metal with some modern elements of bands such as Emgla or the likes. And maybe we also lean towards a sort of atmospheric direction while having your usual blast beats and furious parts that any true black metal enjoyer should like. But well, it's up to the listener to decide exactly what on earth we're doing here. As for the album's title of Shrouds and Daggers, I came up with it thinking of the mystique combined with violence that comes with breaking the veil that's in front of you, breaking the shroud that's in front of you, and how we must understand that humanity is a real problem, we're a plague, we're destroying this earth of ours, and it can't continue like this. We must think about it, we must make amends. So with our album we try and sort of, in a very mystical way, try and illustrate this, while also having elements of mythology or even demonology to decorate it and make it more subtle. So the lyrics on our release, they deal mainly with demonology, our love for Greek culture, rebirth, but more in a spiritual way than the material one, and philosophy, especially the likes of Plato or the Greek philosophers, in a very thoughtful mix of their ideals to nest our firm beliefs. So as for the album cover art, it's mainly inspired by Dark Throne's main trilogy of the purest black metal albums they've ever released. But it's also inspired by our love for nature. And we've got here the model. It's plainly a photo of Hekate in the forest. And with this photo we try to transmit a sort of darkness combined with mystery, of scorn combined with sorrow. Mainly the same feelings we wanted to transmit with the music. After searching abroad for a label that would want to release our album, we realized that we were looking too far away, and something more national, such as Negra Distro, was exactly what we needed in order to get our music out in a physical format. Negra Distro helps a lot local bands of Catalonia. I think it's one of the best black metal labels that there is in Spain. I think it's important for a band to have a label deal, at least in the beginning, because it's pretty expensive to release a physical format, and musicians are usually pretty eager to get a material copy of what they've done. At least that's what I feel. And yeah, in the beginning, this financial aid would be very helpful for bands to start. And besides, you don't have a record deal, you sort of pop out of nowhere. If you have the fame, even if it's small, of the label, then someone will listen to it when it appears. You don't have to go giving cassette tapes to everyone who passes in the street. I think a label can help out with an initial amount of listeners at least. But if a band becomes more famous and more renowned, I think the labels are a bit more negligible, though good ones may still continue doing their job correctly. So I think the black metal philosophy is something really important that starts to get forgotten by bands from nowadays. But you must consider that black metal isn't just another subgenre, it's almost a way of life. So for me, black metal should be the pursuit of darkness, while never fully abandoning the aggressive essence of extreme metal. And it must have these metal roots really present, but black metal may stray in whatever way it needs to. Black metal should be about innovation, but it should always look for that sort of darkness mixed with aggression. However good or dark or badly recorded or whatever the music is, if the musicians don't have a good attitude, I think they aren't really doing purely black metal. What and when got me into music? It's a bit tricky. I've always been into music since I was born, and maybe even before, because my parents are musicians, they're metalheads. They're in many bands such as Daggers, Gorguina, the Exterminator. Previously also bands like Decay Lamb or Countess. And I've even been to a Dissection concert before I was born. So I guess I've been always into music, though with time as I got older and so I learned to appreciate it much more. And Hekate, will you tell us what and when got you into music? The music industry is something really intricate and very complex, and it's got its good side, but it's also got many flaws. One thing I would like to change about it is that talent and innovation should oversell things that are really predictable and recycled, that producers are sure will be enjoyable, but while that's very utopian, that will never happen though. In a perfect world, talent should beat prediction. I'm not especially keen on modern films. I sort of just watch anything that may be interesting, especially of horror or mystery and the likes in Netflix or Amazon. I'm more into older films that actually make you think of it. But as for music, I like to be up to date with what's being released, to be inspired by contemporary bands that may break the bounds in the good way. So between the many modern bands I like, I should especially highlight Elsewhere, Wilderness, Wayfarer, Portal. Well, there are many bands that are very dark and genre bending. I think there are many bands that do interesting things nowadays. As for our local music scene, it's mostly centered in Barcelona, but in the surrounding towns and generally all of Catalonia, you have many bands of almost every genre, I think. I doubt there's any subgenre that doesn't have a local band here. And there are a lot of hidden gems. If you search, if you know what you're looking for, you can find very interesting bands in our local scene. and some actually singing Catalan, that's our native language, and I find those ones pretty interesting, though as usual many ones sing in English, such as this. As for future plans for Gorguina, we're currently composing a new album. We've almost finished doing the songs, we've got many prepared already, and it will sort of be a refined concept of the review. So we'll have mainly the most idea, but sort of the same thing in a better way, if you understand. And some songs will take a more straightforward and aggressive approach, while others will be a bit more complex and atmospheric. We're trying to do a sort of combination of the both aspects, but separated into different songs. And as for live concerts, we still don't have anything planned, but who knows what the future waits. Thanks a lot for this interview. I hope you enjoyed the video and keep on rocking.